Good morning, y'all. This is a morning quickie. So I wanted to come on real quick to tell you all, in my moments of meditating, I guess you can say that, or speaking and spending time with God this morning, what he was saying and what he's been impressing on me is that we have to be so cautious in knowing before we act. So I'll say that again. We have to know before we act on a thing. And so what that means is sometimes we're creatures of habit, right? So we'll be so quick to want to do something and act on it that we will say that it's God, or we will feel that it's God, but we also know that God is not a God of feelings, right? So God is saying that we have to know before we act. And the vital part of that is the reason why it's so important that we seek God in all things, because his word says if we acknowledge him in all our ways, then he'll direct us. So we need to acknowledge him in everything that we do, even if it's very small. It doesn't say whether it's big or small. The word doesn't say that. He say if we acknowledge him in all our ways. So in all our doings, we acknowledge God. And when we do that, God directs us. That's where we get our direction from him. Because we don't know. We really don't. We'll do this, we'll do that. We'll act on our feelings. And it very well may not even be God. And we have to it's very important to keep in mind that the reason why it's important is, number one, our life. So our life, my life, is not just my life. So whatever God has placed in me is connected to so many other lives. So whatever I choose to act on, if I do not seek God and acknowledge God, if I'm acting on a thing, it doesn't just affect me. It affects the lives that God has attached to my life and attached to the gift that he's placed in me. And that's like with all of us, because we have a God that's not a selfish God. God is never thinking about himself. God is always thinking about us and always thinking about what's best for us. And so before we do a thing, before we do or act on a thing, we have to make sure that we know. And we know by seeking God. And it goes right back to the point I just said. We acknowledge him. The word also tells